But here we have the 4 aces, and they're quite beautiful. I love the energy. It works. I'm a dandelion fanatic. I adore dandelions, and so I love that that is in the ace of athames or athames or athames, or I literally looked up the pronunciation, and I will say that you can find about 3 different versions of people saying definitively it is this way, and as well is a relatively new word that seems to have only been developed in the 1930s, I think I read, when I was trying to find the definitive, how is it pronounced? I'm going with athames, although I think I like athame. I don't know, but basically it is a ceremonial knife that is used by witches, not just of the green witchery, from my understanding, but for many, most of the people that I have seen or read about or seen their YouTube channels that are ascribed to some form of witchcraft do use a ceremonial knife such as that. And so that is in place of the swords, and I think it works really good. There's one exception to that, but I think it works well. Oh, sorry. So we have the athames, the wands, the pentacles, and the chalices. So pretty much standard. I mean, of course, they've changed the name, but it's still a knife, a sword, a blade. It still stands for air. You know, all of the associations are still intact. They do add some factors of work to the wands, which I generally read with the pentacles, although I read a little bit up on it. I think I checked in Benabel Wen's Holistic Tarot, and the idea of work does come into wands, which makes sense with transformation and manifesting out your creative energy. But a lot of times I do kind of mix in work with the pentacles. So that was interesting, and I learned something, which is always a good thing. So we'll take a look at the sword suit, or the suit of air, I should say here, so I don't have to keep saying a word that you're all going to laugh at me about, because it's my favorite suit. And this one I was the most worried about, because when I saw images, I thought, nope, that just doesn't work. But you have to, I mean, reading the guidebook with this particular deck is very important, because it is coming from a different perspective. So, and that is shown in the 2 of Swords, or the 2 of athames. Because I saw this and I thought, what in the heck? Like, you know, that just, what? I love the 2 of Swords. Like, that is, those images time after time just catch me and snag me. Like, what is this? But in this deck, the 2 of athames is more about negotiation, about compromise. There's a situation in which they both need to have their fields harvested, and they need to figure out how to work together and think it through so that they can get the work done. And somebody's going to have to compromise. We got to think a new way through the situation. It does work when you read the book. It's just not a traditional sense of the 2 of Swords. It works within it. The energy's there, but it's not in such a dire way. The same thing with the 3 of athames, which I love this card. And the way that I read this card when I was just looking through it on my own was, I thought, this is just fantastic, because here we have this woman who has lost, you know, the 3 of Swords this is about loss and sorrow and regret. And this is a woman who has lost her husband. We have a single swan here. Swans mate for life. She's missed, the swan is missing its partner as well. And there's so much work to be done. And she's having to get on with life. Because there's that aspect in the grieving process where you really do have to get on with life. There's stuff that has to be done, but it's so hard because you're alone. You're missing the person that's supposed to be there. And so I thought, oh, this is, fantastic, because it just has that energy. She's got to get up and put one foot in front of the other, but the idea of loss is still very strongly there. Well, then I read the guidebook, and it didn't have nothing to do with that. It had to do with sort of making a decision. There's a lot of work to be done. Decide to do it. There really didn't have anything to do much with the idea of loss, but you know what? I'm reading it my way because it works. Oh dear. Here we have the Four of Athames, and this one was another one that I was like, no, 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 no. You know, usually you have a soldier or a knight or something, or somebody that has clearly been in battle and is taking a break, but the work isn't done. They have to get back to it. This person doesn't look like they're doing anything. And so, but the book does make sense. You know, it's the same general idea. It's just not with fighting literal battles. You know, that sense of whatever it is that we are in the process of doing that we need to step away from for a little while and take a break before we return to it kind of refreshed. So it's a great... the energy is still there. It just kind of removes that sense of battle because a lot of people aren't obviously, you know, having direct connotations or understanding of literal battle. But it does still work, and it is just a more everyday aspect of that particular card. So I have made peace with that. Here we have the Five of Athames. And I know I gotta go quick. I really like this card, the Six of Athames. We have those kind of fairies that would kind of literally like pull because of the ropes across. We have this, you know, normally see the Six of Swords in there, and we have those in there. I love this background in that tree, so I really like that card. Seven of Athames. We have a skunk, obviously. The Eight of Athames we have quite similar, a very traditional look with an adorable hedgehog, which I love. One of my favorite parts of my charm casting set is a little hedgehog. But we have a little hedgehog here, and it looks like an apple tree, and very similar. There's not much different here. And the same thing with this. We have that same Nine of Athames. A Nine of Swords feel. She looks very distraught, but there's not really any good reason for it. It is dark. There is a bat out there, but there is that sense of the mind making things bigger than it is. But then where we would traditionally then have the Ten of Swords with, you know, knives in people's backs or spears in bulls' body parts, like with the Wild Unknown, we have more of a ceremony of letting go. And because I've talked to you about how, for me, the Ten of Swords really is that sense there's something that needs to be finished. There is a need to let go of something. That there being a lot of that energy in the Ten of Swords. And so this witch here is kind of ceremonially doing maybe a letting go ceremony where this, you know, I need to release this energy so that I can move on. So I do like the message here because it is actually quite what I have been seeing the Ten of Swords with a lot. And again, in a way that it says that message without the harsher factor, and that's okay. Like I like to have, this is why I've got this deck, is I like to have a deck that is more homey and homely, more everyday circumstances that we might approach. So I quite like this. I mean, it's quite different, but at the same time, we can touch on the same issues with this one as we can with the traditional look. Then we have here the Page, and she is a sweetest little witch, and she is calling down the quarters. Now, we have a beautiful owl and then something right here. All of the pages are children who are learning their craft. So I quite like that aspect of the pages as, you know, it's sort of just learning what you're doing. So I think that's great. Then we have the Knight. This is one of the few cards that kind of like has a little bit too much cheese factor for me. Just because, you know, he's on a horse, beautiful horse. And he just looks like either his sword blade got chopped off. It just is a strange position for him to be in with a knife. I mean, I don't know. It just feels like he should have a sword in his hand. And so it's just kind of awkward because, like, what's he going to do with his ceremonial knife while he's riding his horse? I don't know. But the horse is beautiful. But I do like it because it's movement, and that's really important to me. I think the Queen of Athames, I don't know. I like her a lot. So it says that this is somebody who's being very careful and analytical, planning things out. Iris for wisdom, the goldfinch. Goldfinch is my favorite. This is what I was so excited about because goldfinch is my favorite bird. It has been since I was a little girl, and it's on the Queen of Swords, which is me. So I quite like that. It doesn't really say. It says iris for wisdom is being carefully arranged in a vase. A goldfinch for a symbol of awakening, determination, and balance flutters outside. So she's being very careful and very methodical about what she's doing. But I quite like this. I think it's beautiful. And it has a goldfinch in it, and it's my card, one of my cards. Here we have the king, and I quite like him because, you know, they have him, he kind of obviously looks like a scholar. Again, I think it's quite awkward that he's sitting there with his knife in his hand like this. I think he could have just had that setting on the table. I don't know why. Well, okay, he's going to use it as a letter opener. All right, I'll give that one. I'll give this one credit. It looks like he's going to use it as a letter opener. So actually, I kind of like that idea because it's kind of showing you the sacredness in everyday things that we do. That's not just things that we set aside. Sacred space is not just set aside for when we cast a circle or do these different things, but it's in everything that we do. Oh, yes. Okay. Like it. Like it a lot. Okay, so then now we have the beautiful wands. Now, I will say that like the cards themselves don't have like a strict, there's not like a color theme, overwhelming color theme to each of the suits for sure. It's more just life, your natural life. They haven't changed anything to make it the elements stand out. But that's okay in this deck because I think that this deck wouldn't be suited for that. But this is stunning. Here we have the Two of Wands, the Three of Wands. It's almost like she's saying farewell and he's going off to the shipyard. Kind of like a progressive storyline. Here we have the Four of Wands. Just getting ready to celebrate, putting out the apple cider. This one, along with the horse rider with the little knife in his hand, which just seems awkward. This is the other one that's just like, okay. It's very Harry Potter's. Now, I get it because the Five of Wands does, in the book. Now, fives are generally about dispute. Okay, so so this is more about competition than, so this is interesting, a need for teamwork. So there is that sense that there's an ant that is a symbol of discipline and order, as well as mullion, an herb of determination and unity. So these young witches here need to kind of work together, and they are going to be able to accomplish their goal better if they are kind of come together instead of everybody trying to figure something out themselves. They need to work together. But it's so Harry Potter-ish that it's kind of like, oh, do green witches like stand around in black robes while they're learning? All the other ones, I guess, well, I guess the ones that were casting circles, they were, she's in her regular clothes, but she's a little girl learning. I don't know. Maybe that's what they do, but it just seems so Harry Potter. But I can work with it. Here we have the Six of Wands, very traditional looking. Here we have the Seven of Wands, and this was another, I love this. I love this. This one I'm not sure, because if you think about the Seven of Wands, yeah, because this talks about showing that you're able to overcome challenges or rivals in the area of career or creativity. Purple columbines, the flower of courage and resolve, and a nuthatch. I love nuthatches also. Another symbol of courage and manifestation. But I don't really see anything in this scene that she's needing to overcome rivals or anything. I mean, she kind of has an apron on. She's you know, what is exactly is she overcoming? Now, she is taking a wand down, so I suppose she's getting a wand so that she can go out and take care of her rivals. But I guess I just don't see, I think it's a beautiful card, but I don't really see it as its traditional meaning or even as the meaning that they're talking about in the book itself. But I mean, I can certainly work with it that she's determined, she's going to get her wand, she's going to take care of what needs to be taken care of. But I just don't think the scene really matches the card. I love this. I'm sorry. 8 of Wands. I love it. And look at, this is a chickadee. I'm sorry. This is another one that I absolutely love. I love the card. But I'm just not sure how it ties in, because it's normally about, you know, quick news. So something is going to happen that you need to grab a hold of quickly. There's a short time period on it. You usually see like 8 wands kind of flying out, or somebody shooting out things. You know, there's a lot of movement in the cards. And it's like an opportunity that you need to grab on quickly. And so this does talk about this. News coming swiftly. Making sudden progress in an endeavor, unexpected breakthrough, swift progress in plans. Yeah, so everything in the book is talking about that. We have Scotch broom for action, and then a black crested titmouse. Oh, I thought maybe that was a chickadee. As a symbol of activation, knowledge, and good cheer. And, you know, meanings, news, communication coming from a distance, the swiftness, all this news from a distance, and swift action. But I don't see that I could see that if she was maybe scrying or something, but I don't know if somebody knows what it is she's doing that would apply to that situation. Please let me know, because it doesn't even explain it to me very well in the book. I like this card a lot, and so I love the image wonderfully, but I don't see how it applies to the situation. So I'm going to have to work with this. Hopefully one of you who have had this deck will have worked that out and can let me know what you think about that. All right, I know I got to finish up quicker. Here we have the 9 of Wands. 10 of Wands is very important to me, and I love how they left it. This is still somebody who's struggling. This is very much like the Wildwood Tarot, where there is the standing stones at the top with the light, and she's trying to reach. I mean, this is very similar to the Wildwood Tarot's 10 of Wands, so I love it. Then we have, oops. Okay. I messed up. Oh, just her. Okay. Somehow I got my chalices pages mixed up here. I had them the first time I did it. I had the pages out too, because I wanted to show them. But here we have a little guy, and again, each of the pages are practicing their magic. They're practicing their abilities, and I quite like that. They're learning by doing. Here we have the Knight of Wands, who is heading off to the village. Apparently that's important. But she is, I just love, again, we have movement, we have horses. I do like that in knights. And I do like that we have males and females. And I love the King and Queen of Wands, because they're just older people. These are people who are set in, I mean, she's very awkward, but it's in a cute way. It's that sense of like... It's like somebody's told her, I'm going to take a picture of you, Grandma. And then she like freezes in this awkward position. You know how grandmas do that. They just kind of freeze or whatever. Because who's going to be sitting on a bench just with their wand up in the air like that? It's just kind of awkward. But in a cute way. It's in a way that I think is adorable and very real feeling. You know, just you can see she just seems like somebody who works with her hands, works in, you know, out in the garden, and is, you know, in her, you know, little herb cottage working on concoctions and stuff. And so when her grandchild comes up to take a picture, she just kind of like, okay. But I love her. I love her and I love him. He's like sleepy by the fire with his little ferret down here. These are people who have spent time and years on their craft. They aren't like kings and queens up in castles. So I quite love this a lot. I know. Trust me, I've already done this one time. Ace of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles, quite traditional. I do like the storminess in the background. The Three of Pentacles. I quite like this too. It's almost like a druid or a bard is kind of teaching. It's going to teach him who's passing on maybe the knowledge here. I like this. Here we have the Four of Pentacles. So you can see where these were on the wall. And so this person obviously is coming maybe for some help. And he is hiding away the good things that he has versus sharing them. But maybe you can also read this as sort of gathering up your wealth in order to give to this person. We don't know. Here we have the Four, because I don't always read the Four of Pentacles as the miser. I really don't. Sometimes I have that sort of sense of gathering things in before you're going to move outward. I love the little tortoise here. Here is the Five of Pentacles, another very important card to me. I do wish that there was another person, because that is one of the things I do love about Five of Pentacles. It seems like lately people have not been sticking to people in with which I don't particularly like, although we do have this little friend saying everything's going to be okay. And we do have the warmth of the fire. She can walk over there. So there is some things that you can do with this, but I think the image is stunning. I love that it's winter. It just it's wonderful. Here we have the Six of Pentacles, and I quite like that, you know, she has to be discerning about who she is sharing or giving her money to, because we have this person and we have this person over here who's hiding something behind his back, like maybe he's really not in need. So she's needing to be discerning about how she's sharing her resources. Here we have the Seven of Pentacles. Obviously, he's working quite hard. And then we have the Eight of Pentacles, somebody who has more mastered his trade. Here we have the Nine of Pentacles. Love this little scene. The Ten of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles, learning his craft. You know, we saw, you know, maybe his father and his grandfather back here. See, we can kind of think, oh, there's his dad doing the craft. Here we have his grandfather, and then we have him, like the next generation, kind of learning his craft as well. I really like that. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles. Again on a horse, and it's a girl. I like this. And then we have the Queen and the King again of Pentacles. So we definitely see abundance here. She is amazing. She's probably one of my favorite Queen of Pentacles, because she's just a chair, and she's underneath the beautiful tree and the nuts all around, and I don't know, I really like her. And he feels like, the only thing I would say is, well, I guess she's in a little bit purples and nicer clothing than some of the others. So yeah, we do have that sense of them, you know, being better off perhaps economically as the King and Queen of Pentacles. But yeah, I mean, these work wonderfully. Okay. We're getting there. Here we have the Ace of Cups or chalices. I love this because it looks very much, you know, Celtic, Braveheart going to do a, you know, hand fasting or something. I love this card too because we have different body types, long and slender, kind of just standard. We have a little bit curvier. I just really like that we have differing body types here. I also love this card. We have the Four of Chalices. We even have another person with a chalice out there that's kind of calling it her venture, but she's just kind of in that mode of nothing is satisfying her, and you can see that on her face. The Five of Chalices, I love the Five of Cups. I think this is beautiful. It looks like kind of some kind of blackberries or something in the bunny. It's a beautiful card. I love this. Look at these. Six of Chalices. Seeing the eyes through, childhoods with fresh eyes. I feel like they're going to go out into the woods and they're going to release the bird. Here we have the 7 of chalices. I also love all the red hair in this deck. Love it. Obviously, you've seen pictures of my daughter and I. 8 of chalices. Looking things over. I love the black duck, mallard maybe, I don't know. The 9 of chalices I love. We have a seer here looking into a crystal ball. I love the ladybug that's here. And obviously there's a plant up here that I'm not sure what that is at the moment. This is a beautiful scene in the 10 of chalices. Love this. Love her. Love how they're sitting. It's beautiful. Here we have the page of chalices. Page of cups. Beaver back here. You know, she's, you know, new in her creativity and she's going to give it a try. Again, they're all learning and working on their craft, and I love this. Here we have the Knight of Chalices, looking very knightly and coming back in victory of some sort. And then we have the King and Queen of Chalices. I love her, although again, it's the only one that's more like a traditional queen, where it's like, why is she sitting here on a chair? You know, the rest of them all make sense, kind of. They seem to be in their home situations. They seem to be where they would be. And she's just kind of sitting on a rock in the water, at the edge of the water. Like, it just seems like, why is there a chair there? Because the rest of them do seem to be just part of their living. But, you know, she might be sitting out there because she's so connected with the water. Anyways, so these 2 are my least favorite of the queens. I love the image. I just feel like the rest of them were so much in their element. And I guess she is in her element, but they all make sense. They just seem like people living their lives through their craft, where this is just kind of more of a traditional, what you would think of a traditional Queen of Cups. And this, to me, this is all about the King of Pentacles. Like, this looks like maybe the alternative card for the King of Pentacles. But let's take a look. This says it's about art, science, professional, reliable counselor, considerate, giving advice, loyalty, commitment to others. See, I don't see this. Because it is talking a lot about scientific work, sharing expertise, acting like a mentor, but you know, we just have somebody eating at a table. It just doesn't feel like with everything it's reading, it should be like maybe a doctor in a kind of a healer that's in his thing working on some experiment in order to help somebody. I just feel like this is the only card, I have to say, where well, there was another one that didn't make sense, but I liked the card. But this one, it just, to me, doesn't make sense for the card for the King of Cups. I mean, he is a king and he has a cup in his hand. So, again, it's a beautiful painting. I'm not bashing the artist or anything like that. It's a beautiful painting and it's a fantastic King of Pentacles. I just don't really see it as the King of Cups. Can I work with it? Yes, he's a person. He has a cup, so I can just go about saying what I'm going to say. So, you know, there we have it. Really, all in all, there are a couple cards in which I will say don't quite make sense even with what the book is saying. And especially with the, especially this 8. I really do hope that somebody puts sort of their idea about what they think with that, because I like the images, but I don't really see them fitting either with traditional meaning and or with what the book itself is saying. But for the most part, this has greatly surprised me. There's very few that I don't like. I mean, there's always going to be cards and decks that don't, quite strike you. But for the most part, I mean, I really do like this deck much more than I thought, because I will say I had a lot of reservations about it because I just thought maybe it was going to be a little bit too sweet. I thought it was cute. I thought it was going to be too cute of a deck, to be honest. But I think that this is very I don't think cute is the word for this. I think homely, not not homely as in something isn't pretty, but homely as in hearth and home. It feels as if you're living sacredly in your everyday life, and I love that. I actually really like that, and I can really see a place for this. I think that it gets across all of the messages in a way that is very everyday life, a very non-threatening manner, which again, I don't mind. I like the 10 of Swords. I like the 8 of Swords. I like the 9 of Swords. I like the 3 of Swords. I like the 5 of Pentacles being harsher or difficult. Like, I like the difficult cards to hit hard because there's a reason for that. And so I do actually like my decks to be very clear and very clear about light and shadow. Life is not all sunlit fields. And so I was concerned that this was sort of this life that looks wonderful to live in, but it's just not realistic in terms of light and shadow. But there is a place for this because there are clients who need more nurturing, who need the messages, but they really are in the position of needing to see, swords or spears stabbing through bulls, or 10 swords in the back of somebody. No matter how I might explain a particular card and what it means, they're in their head, they're saying, oh my gosh, there's a dead person laying there with swords in their back, my life is over. Now my daughter is actually, I'm going to put my daughter out there a little bit. My daughter is that kind of a person. She you can be very blunt with her, but with tarot cards, she doesn't really like, she had a hard time. I had done a reading for her and there had some more difficult cards in it that were very apt to the situation, but she had a hard time getting around the fact that the death card, what the death card really meant. A hard time with, let's say, I don't even remember what the cards were, but let's say with 10 swords in the back of somebody, the imagery made it hard for her to hear my message. And she was with me when I picked this up and was looking through it, and she really resonated with the images of this deck, that she got the messages of them without feeling like if she was emotionally sensitive, that it wasn't going to put her over the edge of saying, oh goodness, my life really is like, I knew my life wasn't in a good position. Look, there's a person laying here with 10 swords in their back, and kind of snowball in. So there are people that may benefit from a tarot reading that really just don't need to see all those images, or are just there for everyday things. And so the message can get across without, those more difficult. And I've had clients actually, flat out say to me, I want to get a tarot reading. I'm feeling very fragile. I feel very fragile a lot. I've gotten quite a few that have flat out said, I do feel quite fragile, and, I just need some mothering energy. So that's going to affect what deck that I might pull for somebody. And I do think I really see a place for this. And that is not saying that it is a soft deck or doesn't get the point across, but it is a very everyday deck. It is a fairy tale kind of deck where the sun's shining for most of the time. Things are for the most part harmonious and things like that. But the message is there. I can work with it and say the meanings and get the message across in a way that is comforting and nurturing. And in the past, I might have felt like, I'm very much like, again, I like the light and shadow. When I'm reading for myself, I'm going to pull something that's really going to tell me how it is, because I'm logical. Give it to me straight. I was that way with Michael's doctors. I don't need you to coddle me. I have friends and family to support me. I need you to give it to me like it is. Give me the facts. Don't sugarcoat it. Just lay it on the table so that I can deal with it. That's just my personality. I'm the Queen of Swords. That's my personality type. That is not everybody's personality type. And there is a place for this kind of card in with my in my professional readings. And so I'm quite happy that I went ahead and picked it up. So this has been a look at the Green Witch Tarot by Anne Moira and the artwork by Kiri Ostergaard Leonard. So I hope that you've enjoyed this and that it has helped you to figure out if this is something that you would want to work with. I'm going to go ahead and do a, in the back of this book, it has a 5-card elemental reading, which you know I love to do. And we've done 2 videos kind of working with the 5-card. One is elements and one is a different way. And this adds a secondary shadow aspect, or what is hidden influence. So I quite like that. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that video separate with an actual reading, with their approval, obviously. And that way it can kind of finish off how you might expand a 5-card spread, but also let you see this deck in action. So you can look for that as a separate video. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.